So here we are again, Zwift number 28, stage 1 Shimano Find Your Fast, 4 laps around the classic in Watopia, 23.4 kilometres, around about 80 riders enter this race. I did this race on Tuesday night and attempting to make some improvements on this race. I started a little tiny bit further back on the pen, so making a little bit more of an effort to get right up by the front group as we go past that banner and up this slight incline to the top of the hill. By the time I get to the top of the hill, my average watts is really high and it's above 3 watts per kilogram. I think I ended up being around about 285 watts average as I get to the top of the hill. So yeah, it's a tough old start on this race. I'm in the category of 210 to 330 in the race scores, so hoping to catch hold of the front group and keep hold of the front group, which has been a challenge over the last few weeks. I'm a mid-category rider, so a podium position has not been something that I've been able to manage in any shape or form. So you can see here back in the mid-40s position wise, and putting a huge amount of effort in. Like I said, those average watts are really high, and I'm hoping that I can stay with this front group as long as possible. There's a slight split behind me at this point, and whether that materialises into me being in the front group at this point, only time will tell. But just popping into the volcano shortly, and you can see that I'm really struggling to keep hold of this front group. Hopefully they'll blob up and I can catch hold of them, but you never know. But yeah, I am able to catch hold of them. 51st position, but going through the group here, but there is a slight gap between myself and the riders behind at this point. So if you were watching the mini map in the top right hand corner since my last commentary, you will have noticed that that group behind did actually catch hold of us. I was able to move on through the pack, and you can see that I've got a good position here as we go along the flats. But yeah, there's around about 60 of us now riding through this village area, just about to get one of the first power-ups. I was very keen to use and take advantage of as many power-ups as possible. After the race on Tuesday night, I wasn't able to use as many power-ups as I wanted to, so here you can see that I've got the feather, which is ideal for obviously the hill that we're just about to go up on the Jarvis lap and the Jarvis KOM. So I will pop that probably on this second incline where you can see the orange section ahead. I found that to be the best place to take it. Obviously different riders took it in different places. You can see a few have popped it already on that first hill, and I will pop it in the next few seconds to go up this next incline. Like I said, I was very keen to use the power-ups to the best of my ability, because that's something that I didn't do when I rode on Tuesday night. So if you watch my Zwift number 27 video, you'll have noticed that what I was saying about just moving up a few gears on this KOM and increasing the cadence so that I was spinning a lot more rather than trying to push big gear. And I felt quite comfortable this time round doing this. Although my position is dropping and the front group are moving away, that's inevitably probably what's going to happen with my watts per kilogram being around the 2.5, 2.6 kg compared to other riders who were able to ride around about 3 watts per kilogram. So yeah, just getting up towards the top of the KOM. There's a group of 4 or 5 riders in front of me here who have been distanced by about 5-10 seconds to the front group of around about 40 riders. You can see my position is 48th, but in turn I'm looking at a position here now where I'm getting stranded as well, so it doesn't look positive moving forward. But I put a real good surge on here, up over 500 watts, to make sure that I can keep hold of these 4 or 5 riders going up over the top, and then just sitting in and using their draft as we come back down the other side of the hill. So in a really sad situation, I actually used Chat GPT to find out what the best setup might be for me during this race. So I put in all the data in regards to my weight being 92 kilograms, age 55, doing the circuit of the classic around Watopia, and it being a 23.4 kilometer race with the incline up over 200 meters. And surprisingly or not surprisingly, it suggested that the Tron bike wasn't the best. So you may notice from some of my previous videos that I'm not riding the Tron bike. So it talked about riding the Cavallo S5 2020 bike with a disc setup. So that's what I chose to ride, because it was telling me that for the terrain and the incline and the flat sections, that was a better option than Tron bike. So I went with it. ChatGPT was very keen to find out how I got on, and I haven't updated him as to finding out how how my race went, but I will update him and let him know that. Well, I'll let you know whether I improved or not improved towards the end of the race, but it felt like a big struggle. You can see I'm 43rd at the moment, coming back up the Jarvis KOM. The front group have been able to push well ahead of me by this point, and I'm sat in with a group of 5 or 6 riders, one of which I know really well, Ian Davis, who I've ridden with many times and had lots of very close races during the T2 2.5 World Tour, which was organised by Matt King. And I can recall now many a time where we've been, he's been winning races just ahead of me, and I've been beating him just by a few paces. So I've always had that real competitive time with him. And so as we're coming up over the top, my cadence was high, but starting to get dropped by this at this point. So I was a bit concerned whether I would be able to keep hold of them. So you can see there's a group of around 4 riders in front of me as we come up to this final part of the KOM, and I do work quite hard just to catch hold of their tail, but I found that that time up the KOM I was able to keep hold of the riders in front of me. I did actually power off in front on this lap, and as we drop down the decline down the hill, or the descent down the hill, I'm in a really good position, and I ease off. My beats per minute is up in the 160s, which is close to my maximum, but I'm just easing off now, trying to get a breather in, waiting for the last 2 laps and 2 more times up that Jarvis KOM. So with just over 2 laps to go, I'm only in a group of 5 riders with Austin Hexton and Ian Davis, who I mentioned before. Craig Gardner, that name rings a bell. I think I've ridden close by him before in the past, and Manuel Fusi. Just ahead of us, we had Alex Meltzer, who was just 2 seconds ahead of us. In front of them were Philip Henschel and Pepe Genelik. Then about 20 seconds behind us, I think they were. No, 10 seconds behind us. Carsten Beck and Beef Fallis as well. So whether these groups come together or we catch anybody, we'll wait and see. So before the race, I mentioned how I didn't utilise the benefits of the power-ups the other day. I've got an aero boost here. I'm aware that I can get another power up as I go over the start finish line here, so I popped the aero boost on the flats here in the hope that I will get the feather as I go up the hill, and that turns out to be the case. So I've got a nice position in our little group of 5 here in second, so I'm in a nice place at the start of the KOM, and what I will probably end up doing, if I'm right, is popping this next feather boost on that second orange section, the steeper, longer part. You can also see that I've dropped down a few gears, increased my cadence up to 100 revolutions per minute here, so that I'm not pushing and grinding the big gear, which takes so much power out of my legs. I'm learning that I can do this quite well now, so although I'm not at the level and standard of some of the other riders in the category, I do benefit from being able to do this. So just over the end of that second section there, and then I put a little tiny boost in as I go around the corner in preparation for the final steeper section. But I am getting dropped by the 3 riders in front of me. There are 6 of us now, because Meltzer, who was a few seconds ahead of us, has actually just sat with us now, so we're up to 6 riders now. So my plan for the whole race at this point, as I was riding around, I was thinking about what I was going to do towards the end of the race, and I felt as though what I would do on this lap coming up to the top of the KOM is just sit with the other riders and not push out really, really far in front, and to be able to conserve a little bit of energy. But from the previous lap, where I was able to catch them really effectively, I thought that it would be a good place to attack on the final lap. So I've just sat in here this time, not wanting to exert too much energy, stay with the group. You'll see from the graph at the bottom of the page that once we get to the top of the hill, my effort will decrease and I'll be able to ease off. Heart rate's only at 160, which again is a real positive. So I'm just preparing for the final lap and hopefully being able to make a push at that same point, and then just well, I was going to say cruise down, but it won't certainly be a cruise. I'll be pushing really hard for about the last 2 kilometres, I think it is, from the top of the hill down into the finish line. So just going to scroll through the rest of the riders here. Here's the front group of around 25 riders, and I'm working through them. You can see there's somebody out in front. That rider was P. Needlezlek. I've butchered that obviously, but that's what I have a habit of doing. He was out in front, but only by a very, very small margin, and there was around about 25-30 riders with him. So back to our group of 7, we've been joined by Carsten Beck. So 1 lap to go, just coming up to the start finish line here. I've got the feather power up, which probably means I'm going to keep hold of it because the KOM is right at the start of the lap. So obviously having the feather power up is going to be the perfect one. You can see a few people have popped theirs, 3 different riders have popped theirs because they will then get another power up. So this is where I want to make a push for it now, but somebody, see Beck, Carsten Beck, is it? No, Fusey goes off in front, Manuel Fusey goes off the front. I am working hard, I'm in a nice position here. Power feels good, 240 watts above the average that I've been riding throughout the race. And yeah, there we go, pop the feather just at the start of the second incline, which I've mentioned a few times. I find that's the best place to use it, but then have a few other riders go past me here, all using their feathers as well. I thought that was Fusey for a second there, who had stopped in the middle of the track, and I thought, anyway, because I thought he'd made an effort and got everybody else to dig in and make a extra effort to try and follow him, and then he just stopped, but it wasn't him, it was another rider. So you can see that the majority of the riders that I was with have all gone past. Actually all of them have, but you can also see that L. Wildman and Stein Kellner and a few others start coming past, and I didn't even realise there was anybody close to me, so I'll have to look back at the video again and see how far back they came from. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 riders. Davison going past as well, and that should be the whole group that have gone past, because the next one is 26 seconds behind. So get to go past Austin Hagstrom, but you can see I'm very distant from the riders that I was with, and even the riders who've just come past us have put in a 2-second gap. So that plan of being able to push and leave everybody else at that point has gone completely out the window now, and I'm just riding along for my 48th position. But it was at this point that I felt that I needed to do something about it. So just as we hit the bridge, I increased my watts greatly and attempt to bridge that gap, literally, excuse the pun. So I go past a couple of the riders, I see there's another 5 ahead of me, and I could have eased off before I got to them, but I know I wanted to catch them. I felt strong getting up that hill, but I was completely dead at this point. Heart rate well over 170. My watts ease off, you can see just over the 100 mark. But I'm just hoping that I can stay with those riders to the end. This is the point where I attempted to find the front riders, but they'd already finished the race, so unfortunately I wasn't able to get the winner crossing the finish line on this occasion, but it is something I attempt to do. So we have a rider here who goes off the front, and it's Stein Keller, and I thought he was going to make a push for the end, so I thought I'd try and follow him, because this is where I would just like to just keep my power up all the way through to the end. There's only 1.1 kilometers to go, and that is my usual go-to finish. So 0.8k to go, and all I'm able to do at this point is just put in some slightly above average wattage. You can see it's 260, 270, and I try and push for the finish line. I've not got a sprint in me. There's 2 riders just in front, Jelinek and Fusi. and we look as though we're going to catch them, and I'm hoping that I can stay in this position because 40th would have been quite commendable, but Ian Davis came bombing through, put down some watts, so did Gardner and a few other riders, and it ultimately ended up that I was at the back of this group as we crossed the finish line. So all in all, really pleased with how the race went. I actually looked at all the data afterwards, and I was, I think, 7 seconds quicker than the race the other night on Tuesday. I made some improvements with the power ups. My average watts was higher, slightly, only slightly, 230 rather than 228 watts. So I still rode at 2.5 watts, which I have done better with, but I'll take that and move forward. So I'll be back on Tuesday night for another ride, and around about around about 6 o'clock, I think I normally ride. And probably this stage 2 on the Tuesday night will be the one to ride. I think it's in Scotland, so that'll be interesting to see how I get on there. But yeah, I'll share a link now to the results. So here they are. First over the line was Dovidas Bredis, riding at 3 watts per kilogram, 260 watts. Then Pavel Naidvalek came in second. That person who I said was leading, he must have still had a strong finish, 3.3 watts. Jason Vanelli in third, all with very similar times, so there must have been a sprint finish at the end, 3.2 watts. And then John Linnett, he came in fourth, again 3.2 watts. And Gunnarsson came in over the line in fifth, all riding around just over 3 watts. Here's my group, some of the names I've mentioned already. Manuel Fusi was in there, as well as Ian Davis, who made that good sprint finish. He came in 38th place. I'm there in 46th place, and I'll take that. Some of the other riders, Stein Kellner, I mentioned as well. He made that little sprint for the line, but was passed by a few other people. So, like I said, pleased with the overall performance, pleased with the information I got from Chat GPT in regards to using the Cavello bike, the S5 2020 bike. So, see you all Tuesday. Thanks, bye.